Right before the wedding I caught my bride cheating. Yes, I'm jealous. Right before our wedding at Callie's bachelorette, I saw something that split my life clean down the middle. I'm Jordan, 33. She's Callie, 31. We'd done the whole curated lovestory thing. Engagement photos in a wheat field, a joint Pinterest board called Forever Vibes, her mom Linda crying happy tears every time she saw a napkin. From the outside, perfect. From the inside, a few hairline cracks I painted over with optimism. Callie had a low-key bachelorette at the Briar. Nice hotel, prettier lobby than any lobby needs. She swore it was just charcuterie and games. I was the jealous type in rehab, I admit it. So when her location pinged twice at 2 a.m., then disappeared and Nova, maid of honor, sent a blurry boomerang of a hallway with the caption "Angels behave," my stomach did that elevator drop thing. I drove over. Stupid. I know. I told myself I'd just hand off the charging cable. She forgot. Wave leave. On the third floor the hall smelled like Prosecco and perfume. A door was cracked. Linda's room, the mother of the bride. I didn't mean to look. The image still flashbangs me sometimes. Linda's legs tangled with a stripper in black suspenders, her pearl bracelet on the lamp like a joke. I backed up so hard my shoulder hit the exit bar. Then I heard Callie's laugh upstairs, breathy, drunk on something that wasn't champagne, and a man's low voice saying shoo, like a secret. On the second floor, I saw her through the slice of a barely latched door. Hair messy, that storm gray slip from the bridal shower, her thigh hooked over a hip that wasn't mine. Not pornographic. Just undeniably intimate. The kind of closeness you can't mistake if you've ever been loved up close. I took one photo, the brass door numbers. Proof without bodies. Then I ran. I drove home and sat in the dark living room with Pixel, our rescue mutt who thinks rules are optional, and tried to swallow a grenade. Pre-wedding chaos, I told myself. Cold feet, bachelor/bachelorette weirdness. I managed to not blow up my own wedding. Day of Callie was luminous. Linda kissed my cheeks with saintly gentleness and a wild glitter in her eye. Nova set my boutonniere and whispered, "Don't be so serious, Jay." I said, "I do," while a reel in my brain looped those brass door plates. After, Callie was distant in flashes, hugging too long, checking her phone face down under the table, disappearing for a girls-only dance. First sign that stuck. She started sleeping in a camisole even in July, pulling the sheet up to her collarbone like it was embassy grade. The second, CarPlay stopped auto-connecting because updates are weird. The third, a new perfume, citrus pepper, not ours, that lingered after yoga nights. I wanted to be the man who trusted. I meal prepped, fixed a leaky sink, kissed the chalkboard where she wrote "good vibes only." But a week later, an invoice from the Briar hit our joint email. "Thank you for your stay, A+C." We hadn't been there. The room spun a little. My name is Jordan. Her initials are CM. Who was the other C? I archived it. I told myself love is a verb. Then I put a legal pad in the junk drawer and labeled it reality log, because sometimes verbs need witnesses. Sleep didn't live at our house after the wedding. It rented by the hour. A week in, I made coffee I didn't drink and opened our joint bank app. The Briar, twice. Wild Stem Florist. 2 lifts in a row to a cul-de-sac behind the hotel on a night she'd labeled book club. Screenshot. Screenshot. I told myself there'd be a cute explanation. Nova's birthday, a surprise for me, something with charcuterie boards and inside jokes I'm too earnest to get. Callie patted and wearing my college tee like a souvenir. She slid behind me, chin on my shoulder, voice low enough to fog glass. Morning, husband. She smelled like that citrus pepper perfume, plus a faint shadow of cologne that wasn't mine. A tiny blushy mark lived high on her collarbone, shaped like a comma someone forgot to erase. She kissed my neck, slow, confident, and for a second my body forgot math. Then her phone lit up on the counter. Book club books, 9 p.m.? Same place with a heart. She flipped it face down so fast the charger popped out. Spam, she said like the word could Febreze reality. At lunch I walked into the Briar on a dumb hunch and borrowed confidence. Hey, I think my wife left a card holder. Callie Moore. The clerk's smile faltered, then brightened. Of course. Ms. Moore loves the truffle fries. My stomach tilted. She slid an envelope with our last name embossed in gold. Inside, 2 unused drink tickets and a folio stamped "Sweet." Handwritten note on hotel letterhead, "Happy anniversary, A+C." The same initials from the post-wedding invoice. I stood very still, like movement would make blood happen. Back home I hunted for stupid answers. In the laundry, her black wrap dress, the ghost of peppery cologne clinging to the fabric. In the pocket, A cardboard key sleeve with the hotel logo and a tiny doodled heart. In the junk drawer, under scarves and a packet of spare earring backs, a thin black phone I didn't recognize. That. I charged it. Lock screen. An elevator mirror selfie of Callie grinning, hair messy the way she gets when she's showing off for someone. Passcode guesses, birthdays, pixels, adoption date. Nope. Then I tried 0420, Coach Camden's birthday from his gym flyer she posted ironically. Open. Messages weren't explicit so much as intimate, which is worse. Her contact for him wasn't Camden. It was Coach. Threads full of soft focus selfies taken in hotel mirrors. Her in a storm gray slip I'd never seen at home. A photo of room service. Strawberries bleeding into chocolate. A thumbprint smudged on the edge. A video thumbnail of Callie tipping her head back to laugh. That laugh she saves for mirrors. Texts like, bring the cologne that makes him sneeze. Stairs or tub? Still smell you. Book club at 9. My throat tasted like pennies. The group chat book club books was a joke that stops being funny once you know the punchline. Nova, hydrate queen. Sloan, maid of honor, delete later. Callie, tonight? A message from an unsaved number with a flexing emoji, parking 2 streets over. Same plan. I set the phone down like a live wire and stared at our kitchen chalkboard where she'd written good vibes only, in bubbly handwriting. Pixel watched me from the doorway, head tipped, like he could tell I'd found a crack in the glass. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I took photos of everything, the folio, the key sleeve, the lift map, the book club thread. I printed the Breyer invoice and slid it under the legal pad labeled reality log. If I'd learned anything from the hallway with the brass door plates, it's that reality doesn't care about my optimism. It cares about receipts. I waited 2 days because I wanted one more normal dinner before I set fire to my life. Callie came home from yoga, flushed, hair in that loose ponytail that says I was seen. I'd laid the Breyer folio, the lift map, the gold key sleeve, and a printout of the post-wedding invoice on the counter like a science fair project titled, Why My Stomach Won't Unclench. What is this? I asked. She didn't blink. Performance art? Then the smile sharpened. Jordan, this is creepy. Why are you stalking me? Who's C? I tapped the handwritten note. Happy anniversary, A+C. Her mouth did a little O before the engine revved. Content, she said bright. Anniversary of content. Nova and I filmed B-roll for our podcast at the Breyer. God, you're so literal. She finger-walked the key sleeve off the counter like she could erase ink. I slid the black phone across, already open to a thread that said stairs or tub. The brightness drained from her face. Then, Act 2. You went through my private things? That's abuse. She jabbed a finger in my chest. You've been controlling since the wedding. No wonder I need girl time. Callie, I said quiet, I was in that hallway the night of your bachelorette. Everything stopped. Then she laughed, too loud, bubbles over battery acid. Oh my God. You peaked? It was a joke. Linda was doing a bit. We were supporting small business. It was dancing. On the second floor? Slipped out before I could catch it. Her eyes flashed. She went straight to tears. Like a switch. She came around the island and grabbed my forearms, mascara already working. Babe, listen. Voice small now. I was drunk on attention. It was just kissing and talking. He made me feel light. You've been spreadsheets. Her forehead found my chest. Please don't leave me. Don't make me the villain of my own wedding story. Who? I said. Say his name. Cam, Coach, she corrected, shrinking the syllable. But it's over. It's noise. I blocked him. As if summoned, her phone on the counter lit. Coach, miss your voice. She lunged, flipped it face down. Spam, she said, breath hitching. Full access, I said. No contact. Counseling. All 3. She stared, calculating, and then slipped down fast to her knees on the kitchen tile, palms up like prayer, ponytail falling forward. Okay, yes. I'll be transparent. I'll delete everyone. I'll live in your rules. Tears slicked the heel of my hand when she kissed it. Pixel whined like even the dog knew we'd left the map. We didn't make it an hour. Her mom, Linda, FaceTimed in, wine in hand, voice like a chandelier. Real men don't need receipts to love, she announced. Bachelorettes don't count. Bruce yelled off screen, boys will be boys, which wasn't the defense he thought it was. I said we'd be doing an STI panel. The timeline was ugly, a paternity test. Linda went cold. Testing breaks families. My skin went tight. Lying already did. Sloan, maid of honor, dropped by with a tote bag of self-care. She clocked the papers, went stiff, then blurted, "You two were almost open anyway, right?" She backpedaled so hard she tripped the rug. "Kidding?" Her eyes said not kidding. Callie glared daggers at her and then, back to me, fell into the routine like she was paid for it. On her knees again, forehead to my hip, voice shredding. "I'll change my number. I'll quit the gym. I'll sit in shame if that's the only way back. Please, Jordan. I wanted to be the man who forgave. I wanted to be better than this kitchen." She tipped her face up, mouth parted, and for one stupid second I remembered us. Her breath warm against my throat, the soft drag of cotton when she'd climb into my lap laughing, the way she'd whisper mine like a secret. The memory hit like a drug and then curdled when the console iPad, forgotten, logged into her old Apple ID, pinged. "Coach, new number parked 2 streets over?" "Same plan." Callie's eyes darted. "Spam," she whispered, the word like a ritual. I picked up the iPad, put it face down next to the receipts and said as gently as I could, "Your spam knows where to park." I decided to stay, at least long enough to see if the ground could stop tilting. We booked a couples therapist, Dr. Avery Keene, whose office had succulents and a sand tray like we were in kindergarten. "Safety looks like what?" she asked. "Honesty I don't have to excavate," I said. "Access that isn't theater." Callie squeezed my hand and whispered, "I can do hard things," which sounded brave until we got back in the car and her phone did a soft buzz. "Book club books, 9? She flipped it face down so fast the cord popped out. "Spam," she said, spraying Febreze over a grease fire. I started a routine because chaos hates clipboards. I ran at dawn badly. I wrote 3 lines in the reality log, every night. Date, lie, feeling. Tuesday, yoga canceled, but her leggings were damp in the dryer. Thursday, she swore she blocked Coach. Moments later a contact named Claire woman getting haircut hearted her story in under 10 seconds. Saturday, the Briar sent a loyalty email, "We miss you A+C," to our joint account because she hadn't changed the profile. "Automated error," she sniffed, then slipped to her knees on the kitchen rug, palms up like communion. "Please don't weaponize my past. I'm here now." Her mascara drew parentheses around a face I used to know by light alone. My parents did lasagna triage. Mom sat beside me on the porch with a mug she didn't drink and said, "You're not crazy." Dad fixed a hinge that wasn't broken just to give his hands a job and muttered, "There's tough and there's harm." When they left, Callie reappeared with a candle and that storm gray slip from the bridal shower, trying to laminate us with softness. I wanted to want her. My body remembered summer, my brain remembered brass door numbers. I froze. She felt it, went watery-eyed and slid down again on her knees, grabbing for my wrists. "I'll be clean, Jordan. I'll be small. Just tell me how." Her family kept humming the same hymn. Linda texted a Pinterest board titled Modern Forgiveness, all watercolor fonts and fake wood frames. When I mentioned STI panels, she replied, "Stress hurts babies," which was a weird sentence to send to a man who hadn't told you he'd scheduled a paternity test if the calendar got ugly. Bruce left a voicemail, "Boys will be boys," which, again, felt like a confession that lost its way. Dr. Keene assigned radical transparency. Callie volunteered her unlock code like a donor at a gala. 4:40 minutes, notifications were a desert. Then the console iPad, forgotten, older Apple ID, lit up with a message from Coach, "New miss your voice. Parking behind Jacaranda. The exact tree 2 streets over." Callie sucked in air, went full performance panic. "It's a spoofing scam." 10 minutes later she was on the floor, forehead to my knee, whispering, "Don't give up on our family." I tried not to. I built the crib we'd picked for someday, and every wooden slat felt like a lie I was nailing in place. I took her to the park where we first kissed. She cried there too, confessing micro-lies like offerings. "Okay, it was 3 stays. Okay, I wore the robe. Okay, I kept the key sleeves because I hated us." Each "okay" was a small funeral. Sleep shrank to catnaps. I jolt awake at 3:07 a.m., hearing phantom elevator chimes and the hush of a hotel door latch. I'd stand in the bathroom gripping the sink, counting breaths while Pixel pressed his paw to my ankle like he could keep me from ghosting out of my own body. Forgiveness wasn't a path, it was quicksand. The more I thrashed, the deeper I sank. So I stopped thrashing and started packing invisible boxes. Bank alerts, new email, P.O. box, 1 quiet teaspoon of oxygen at a time. I booked labs on my lunch break, STI panel for both, and if dates stayed ugly, a non-invasive paternity test. I told the OB we were verifying coverage, because saying the truth out loud felt like chewing glass. I didn't tell Callie till morning of. She went glacier to hurricane in 5 seconds. You're abusing my anxiety, she snapped, then folded to the foyer rug, clutching my ankles, mascara carving black commas. Fine. Swab me, bleed me, brand me. I'll do anything. Pixel hid under the end table. At the lab she wore a cream sweater and a halo. We're confirming what we already know, she chirped to the tech, then hissed, you're humiliating me. When the phlebotomist labeled tubes, Callie tried to shuffle them like a street magician. I caught her wrist. We smiled for the waiting room. Quiet revenge stayed quiet. I opened a checking account at a credit union she forgets exists, redirected a slice of my paycheck, set alerts for the Briar, Wild Stem, and Lift around that Jacaranda alley. I bought a hardware-encrypted drive and printed every screenshot like I was archiving a small, stupid war. I emailed the CrossFit owner a bland line about member safety and staff boundaries. An hour later, Coach posted a Notes app monologue about focusing on mental health. Comments off. Nova subtweeted me, some men hate a glow. Mute. Then the second C appeared. In Coach's tagged photos, a woman kept surfacing, Cassidy sleeve tattoo beagle. I DM'd, this is awkward. Are you with him? She replied, define with. I said our timelines might overlap. 10 minutes later, a bathroom counter pic, faint pink lines on a test strip. 8 weeks. He says it's complicated. Our dates crosshatched like bad lattice. Callie's mother escalated. A WhatsApp ping on the console, old Apple ID mom group nail polish, Linda. If he insists on testing, say stress hurts babies. Cry. Stall. Marla, once he holds it, he'll forget. The past snapped into focus like a cruel lens. I screenshotted, breathed, kept folding laundry so my hands had a job. Home that night, Callie switched to Perfect Wife Theater. My playlist, my hoodie, my favorite pasta. Mid-bite, her phone lit with salon woman getting haircut. Miss your voice. She lunged, babbling, spam, scam, bots, then slid off the chair to her knees, palms up like communion. I'll get a new number. I'll delete socials. Track me like parole. Just don't make me a villain. I said, villains cry less. My parents arrived with lasagna and triage faces. Mom touched my cheek. You don't have to bleed to prove you loved. Dad opened his toolbox and fixed nothing, which fixed me more than the sink ever did. Linda FaceTimed mid-supper, real men don't test. Mom, who never cusses, said sweet as honey with a razor inside, real mothers don't coach their daughters to lie. At midnight I drove past the Briar. Under the Jacaranda, a familiar coupe idled. I didn't knock. I parked 2 streets away, let the dash clock stamp the moment, and whispered to the lemon tree in the back seat like a saint in training, almost there, buddy. The lab portal said processing, which felt like living inside a spinning wheel. Coach texted from a new number, man to man. I picked a neutral battlefield, the curb outside the Briar at noon. He arrived in a sleeveless hoodie like the dress code was delusion athleisure. First word, bro. I let it hang until it sounded stupid. He tried Pierre. He and Callie are soul spots. I'm a good guy, just logistical. This is bigger than labels. Say affair? I said. He couldn't. Then he floated a package plan. If the baby's mine, he'll step back with respect. If it's his, we could co-dad. I pictured a stroller next to a squat rack and tasted pennies. You mean I pay while you post? His eyes did a tiny flinch. When I asked about Cassidy, he said she's dramatic. People who say that often leave a trail of consistent dramas. I went home to Avery's, sorry Callie's, latest performance. Brownie's cooling. My hoodie on her. Tears preloaded. Did he ambush you? She whispered, palms on my chest. He's obsessed. The console iPad, forgotten, older Apple ID, pinged. Mom group nail polish, Linda. If he pushes, say test cause stress. Offer counseling. Cry. Then, delete after. I palmed the iPad like clutter, locked the bathroom, scrolled the thread. Old messages mapped to family religion. Linda coaching lies like recipes. First tears. Then blame his control. Say, we were on a break. If all else fails, pregnant hormones. I needed air that didn't smell like Febreze on fire, so I drove to the address from a florist charge I couldn't place. Not a condo. A row of storage units behind a nail salon. Her 4-digit code, the one she uses for everything, slid the gate open. Unit 32, a museum of counterfeit intimacy. Hotel key sleeves rubber banded by month. A storm gray slip folded like a flag. A robe with the Briar's logo stitched inside. A notebook, Briars and boundaries, lists like pepper cologne, book club equals cover, delete lift map, don't wear peach, J notices. My hands shook the way hands do when truth is heavier than it looks. I photographed everything, closed the door, and stood in the strip mall sunlight feeling clean and contaminated at once. On the way out, a beagle barked from a beat-up Civic. Cassidy. Smaller than her photos, eyes that said she hadn't slept. He told me you were separated, she said before hello. He told me she was basically single. She passed me a printout of Lyft rides that mirrored mine. I don't want him, she added. I want out. We traded a weird, tired smile that felt like a treaty. That night, family descended like a sitcom with the laugh track cut. My parents brought soup and silence that invites truth. Callie's mother swept in with a casserole and commandments. Real men don't make wives beg, Linda announced. Callie, hearing her cue, slid to her knees on the rug so fast she burned them. Palms up, voice ruined. I'll be brand new. I'll quit the gym, delete everyone, move states. Just don't leave me. Bruce added from the doorway, boys will be boys, which I'm convinced he has embroidered on a pillow. I set the Briars and Boundaries notebook on the coffee table. Linda reached for it, my mom moved it to me like a goalie. Pam, Mom said sweetly, your daughter humiliated my son. We are not doing theater. Dad, who fixes with presents, just rested a hand on my shoulder until my heart remembered a normal tempo. Callie broke again, then snapped. You're boring, Jordan, she spit, then whiplashed to pleading. You're safe. Please be safe for me. The iPad on the console pinged one more time. Linda, Marla, if results aren't good, blame the lab. Demand redo. Cry louder. I looked at the notebook, the robe, the key sleeves lined up like museum labels, and felt something quiet and irreversible. I wasn't the villain. I was the curator. And I was done letting their family write the placards. By Monday I turned into a checklist with legs. I hired an attorney, Larkin, voice like calm water with a steel undercurrent. First thing she said, don't perform. Prepare. She walked me through the boring armor that keeps you breathing. Freeze the store card I never opened, found it, used at a boutique that sells silk robes and home scent. Open a separate account at a credit union Callie forgets exists. Redirect a slice of my paycheck. Pull copies of statements before helpful people make them vanish. Document. Decide. Don't detonate, she said. I wrote it at the top of the reality log. I put oxygen in trunks. Passport, birth certificate, Pixels vet file, the hardware encrypted drive full of screenshots, the Briars and Boundaries notebook sealed in a zip bag. I rented a P.O. box 2 towns over and forwarded anything with the words loyalty, sweet, or the Briar. I set merchant alerts for the florist, the lift zone behind the jacaranda, and the gym. Quiet revenge tastes like room temp water. Not exciting, but it keeps you alive. The HOA sent an email about vandalism, which made me think of that night before sign I never told anyone about. On a hunch, I asked the property manager for our street camera from the bachelorette weekend. She sent a clip. Cassidy jogging up in a hoodie, blue beagle leash looped on her wrist, taping a poster to our fence with shaking hands, then running like the truth might catch her. I didn't feel angry. I felt seen. Coach tried a victory lap from yet another number. We can be adults about this, bro. I replied with Larkin's office address and nothing else. He sent a flexing emoji and a prayer hands. Comments off on his taking time for mental health post. A day later, the gym's class schedule lost his name. Callie pivoted to Redemption Theater. Phone face up on the counter, empty. Candles, my hoodie, brownies cooling like props. 10 minutes in, the forgotten console iPad, still on her old Apple ID, lit up. Mom group nail polish, Linda. If he brings up money, cry. Say you feel unsafe. Wellness check if needed. 5 minutes later, 2 polite officers knocked. We got a call about raised voices. I let them see the monk cell I'd made. Lemon tree, folded laundry, a dog asleep like a paid actor. One officer clocked the tidy stack of labeled receipts and said softly, happening a lot lately. After they left, a text from Linda arrived. Maybe the police can help you calm down. Forward Larkin. Block. My parents brought soup and quiet that lets truth sit down. Dad put a hand on my shoulder the way he does when he's about to lift something heavy for you. Mom said, you are not the sum of other people's shame, like a benediction. Pixel learned a new trick. Every time Callie slid to her knees, he nosed between us and sat, a furry boundary with a wag. That night I drove to a short-term rental over a deli that smells like onions at 6 a.m. and hope by noon. I tested the keys, measured the closet, left a toothbrush. On the way back I stopped under the jacaranda. The pavement was clean. The air felt like a decision. At 9:13 p.m., my phone buzzed with a subject line that turned my bones to glass. Results available. Lab portal. I didn't open it in the car. I took it home, set the laptop on the kitchen island where Callie had cried and begged and promised to be small. She hovered in the doorway, mascara already thawing. "We can put this behind us," she whispered, already kneeling, palms up like offerings. I clicked. 2 lines. One took a weight off my lungs. The other took the air. STI panel, negative. Paternity probability, 0%. 2 lines. One gave me lungs back. The other scraped them clean. I printed the PDF and taped it over Callie's chalkboard where she'd written "good vibes only" in bubbly letters. Pixel sat like a witness. Garage door. Her bright honey died when she saw the page. "Labs mess up," she said before reading. Then, "stress affects DNA." Then, softer, sliding into the role she knows best. She dropped to her knees so fast Peaches rolled out of the grocery bag and skittered. Palms up. Mascara like tire tracks. "Please, Jordan. Don't make our baby fatherless." "He has a father," I said. "Ask him to be one." The doorbell rang like a cue. Through the glass, Coach in a hoodie, Linda with a casserole, Bruce in his leather jacket, Sloane clutching a tote like she'd smuggled in forgiveness. My parents pulled up behind them because I'd texted come. The living room became a tribunal. Linda beelined to the chalkboard and started peeling Scotch tape like she could unstick reality. "This is abuse," she hissed. "Real men don't need paperwork to love." Bruce took doorguard stance and rumbled, "Be reasonable," which is Bruce for obey the fiction. Coach lifted his palms like a motivational speaker. "I'll contribute," he offered like a GoFundMe perk. Sloane started, as a feminist podcaster, and my mom, sweet as a hymn with a blade inside, said, "Not now." Dad read the page, met my eyes and nodded once. "Okay," he said. "We separate." Callie crawled, forehead to my knee, voice wrecked. "I'll be brand new. I'll change my number, delete everyone, move states. I'll be small if you want." She clutched my calf like an anchor. The console iPad, bless its ancient tattletale soul, pinged. "Mom group nail polish, Linda. If he's leaving, say you fear for safety. Wellness check again." Linda's phone vibrated in her hand. She flinched. I set the Briars and Boundaries notebook on the table. Linda reached. Mom moved it to me with goalie reflexes. Sloane blurted, "The Bachelorette wasn't a one-off," then clapped a hand over her mouth. Coach stared at the ceiling like a pull-up bar might save him. Bruce muttered, "Boys will be," Dad said without raising his voice. "No." I read from my log, steady as a metronome. Paternity, no. Health, clear. Boundary, immediate separation. Contact, written only via counsel. Access, revoked. Larkin's packet slid across the coffee table. Linda lunged. Mom tapped it back to my side. Coach tried, "We can co-dad," and I said, "You can dad." Callie's face snapped from beg to blade. "You're boring," she spat, the old insult. Then back to silk, "You're safe. Please be safe for me." Pixel nosed between us and sat, a furry restraining order. I packed in silence. Passport, the encrypted drive, the notebook, a week of clothes, Dad's toolbox, the lemon tree that refused to die. Coach ghosted after I shut the door on his adult conversation. Linda announced I was orphaning her daughter. Bruce demanded we do this privately, in the room crowded with his opinions. My mom kissed my temple. Dad carried the lemon like a torch. On the porch, Sloane gripped her tote like a life raft. "Are you going to post about this?" she asked, eyes darting to Nova's camera that wasn't there. "No," I said. "I'm going to live." As I loaded the trunk, a memory flashed so sharp it felt like a cut. The brass door numbers from the night before the wedding. I'd spent a year trying to unsee them. Turns out they'd been directions. We pulled away. In the rear view, Linda yanked at the tape. The paper tore but the words stayed. The lemon tree trembled in the back seat like a nervous passenger. Pixel put his chin on the console and sighed, the sound of benediction. The rental over the deli smelled like onions and second chances. I set the printout on the counter, the lemon on the sill, and my phone to do not disturb. Callie's messages stacked anyway, apologies braided with threats, braided with bargains. I forwarded them to Larkin and lay on the carpet, eyes on a cracked ceiling that, for the first time in months, didn't feel like it was about to fall. The deli upstairs neighbors taught me the building's heartbeat. Onions at 6 a.m., laughter at noon, mop water at 10. I unpacked 3 things first. Pixel's bed, Dad's toolbox, the lemon tree. Then I made rules because rules don't lie. Airplane mode after 9, no alcohol alone, 1 task before 10 a.m. counts as a win, laundry counts, Move my body daily even if it's 2 laps around the block and nearly barfing into Mr. Patel's rosemary. I became boring on purpose. It worked. I ran badly until it wasn't bad. I joined the community center's woodworking night and made a cutting board shaped like a country no one's visited. The instructor said, "All edges are choices," and I almost cried into 220 grit. Tuesdays I climbed with a group that didn't ask for a plot summary. A guy named Noah kept saying, "Trust the rope," and one day my forearms believed him. Fridays I brought a thrifted film camera to a photo walk. A buzzcut woman named Sloane traded prints and argued about grain like it mattered. It did. Lawful revenge took its slow, room temp victory lap. Larkin filed. A server handed Callie separation papers while Linda posted a tearful abandoned wife story. I didn't reply, I forwarded. CrossFit scrubbed coach from the schedule with a bland community standards post. Nova tried to spin it on her podcast, Openish Marriage Gone Wrong. Until Sloane, yes the same Sloane, DM'd me her own apology and a Dropbox of book club books, screenshots that matched my log to the minute. I saved them, then closed the folder and went for a walk. The wellness check circus showed up once more. 2 officers, patient eyes, a report of raised voices. They found a monk's cell, lemon tree, folded laundry, Pixel asleep. One officer clocked the timeline on my fridge, nodded like he'd been here before, and left me with my dignity intact. I kept saying it like a catechism. Facts over fireworks. My parents visited with chili and steadiness. Dad hung a thrifted frame. The nail crumbled, he shrugged, bigger screw, and it felt like a sermon. Mom tucked cash in my junk drawer and a note on the lemon pot. You can keep living things alive. The last twist arrived in a manila envelope forwarded from the hospital. Paternal contact, acknowledged Camden W. She'd finally told them. I slid the paper under the lemon pot to catch stray water and laughed, small, shocked, free. I took a cheap cabin by the coast. Me, Pixel, a thermos, the camera. Fog rolled over the headlands like a quiet mercy. I shot driftwood and a heron spearing a fish like a fencer. I didn't check her socials or rehearse speeches to the windshield. I counted waves until my chest loosened and thought, I was a good husband. She was a bad partner. Both truths can sit in the same room without me holding them up. When I got back, the deli kid jogged beside me for a block and puffed, "You're getting faster." He meant running. I heard healing. The hearing lasted 9 minutes, no soundtrack, just a stamp that sounded bigger than it looks. Larkin spoke in that stainless steel voice. The judge said dissolved, relieved, division per terms, and my spine finally unclenched. Outside, Mom tucked a granola bar in my hoodie like grief was a hike. Dad squeezed my shoulder once, the exact pressure you use to close a toolbox, and said, "We build again." Pixel sneezed like an amen. 2 weeks later, Callie texted a photo, a newborn in a knit cap. "He's here." I stared, thumb hovering over a heart it didn't owe. I typed, "I hope he is safe and loved," and turned off read receipts forever. Camden posted a gym selfie with the baby like a kettlebell. Comments on. Linda mailed a card with a Bible verse about prodigals underlined like a threat. I mailed nothing. My rental stopped looking like triage and started looking like a life. The cutting board wobbled less. I sold the second one to a couple who said babe without irony. The photo club hung prints at the community center. A stranger bought my river light. I framed the receipt because ugly seasons paying for beauty feels like justice. Sloane and I shot neon outside the city where the sky still goes properly black. She reached for my hand at a crosswalk. I let it, then let go. "I'm not a safe bet yet," I said. She smiled. I didn't bring a bet. I brought film. Nights still sometimes light the 3:07 a.m. alarm in my chest. Now I sit on the floor, back to the bed, scratch 3 lines. I was a good husband. She was a bad partner. Both can be true. Then I breathe in 4s and go back to sleep. Here's the part 1 wish someone taped to my fence. Quiet revenge, loud revenge. Lawyers, not late-night essays. Facts, not fireworks. That if someone needs you blind to love you, they don't love you. They love the dark. Steadiness isn't boring, it's ballast. Stop apologizing for being a safe harbor. Routine is a raft. Eat, move, sleep, write it down. Boring wins. Don't argue with people who profit from your confusion. Block and breathe. I took a long weekend back to the coast. Me, Pixel, a thermos, a lens. Fog rolled in like a kind curtain. I didn't think of the briar. I thought about light, how it insists on landing even on ruins. On the drive home I realized the sign that started this wasn't an omen. It was a map. Your wife is sleeping with other men. The sentence hurt. It also pointed to a door I could walk through. If you're reading this with a pit in your stomach and a chalkboard that says good vibes only over a grease fire, here's your checklist from a stranger on the internet. Document. Decide. Don't detonate. Pick 3 rules you can keep this week and keep them like rents due. Give your hands a job. Run badly, sandwood, make pictures of honest things. Ask boring, kind people for help. When the day comes that you catch your reflection and it doesn't look like a ghost, take the photo. That's your afterlight.